I sold some paintings lately. Maybe your brother told you?
Don't do it to me. I beg you. No.
Nothing. You have nothing to do with this decision.
Where are you going?
Vincent, we can't live side by side.
Hello everyone, I am the Alanator and welcome back to another Invincible Guarding the Globe character profile. Now today's video is actually going to be a little different. As voted by you guys in the last poll, we will be doing a video on the Mauler Twins, both of them, which technically means you're getting two character profiles in one video, hence why this episode is a little different than all the others. If you're new around here and you don't know how these videos work, then let me explain. Essentially, these videos are all about helping players understand what characters are good, why they're good, and how to use them. I start off with a brief description as well as their stats and abilities before moving on to the best way to use them in levels, like what artifacts you should use, for example. If you enjoy this video or find it useful, then go ahead and hit that like button. And without further ado, let's get on with today's very long video. Firstly, we're going to talk about the melee Mauler Twin, who, as you may be able to guess, is a melee character. He is an attacker that is in the Criminal Organization faction, meaning he does an extra 20% damage to characters in the Earth's Defenders faction, but he receives an extra 20% damage from characters in the GDA faction. As well as this, he has a slow movement speed and his tags are as follows. He has a Malefactor, Technologist, and is also grounded. He's also a Mauler. Now, as for his base stats, he has a HP of 4,220, which is pretty good, not gonna lie. He has 2,727 attack and 654 defense. He has a critical hit chance of 5% and his critical damage is 150%. His energy attack is 104% and his physical attack is 110%, whereas his energy defense is 104% and his physical defense is 101%. Now let's talk about his abilities. First off, we have Battering Ram, which has a cooldown of 13 seconds, a very good amount of time. During this ability, he attacks one random enemy, stuns them for 1 second, and deals 375% damage. Quite a chunky amount. Too bad that this ability certainly does like to take its time. And by that I don't mean the cooldown, I mean there is a large gap between when the ability activates and when the damage of the ability is actually dealt, making it sometimes a liability, especially in Cecil's Nightmares. If you get this ability to max level, the cooldown will reduce to 11 seconds, which is pretty great, but as well as this, he decreases the target's energy defense by 35% for 5 seconds. The stun time is increased to 2 seconds, and he instead does 420% of his base damage. His second ability, Dynamic Duo, is where his synergies with other Mauler Twins starts to take form, where he will increase the team's physical attack and physical defense by 4% for each Mauler on the team, not including himself. If you get this ability to max level, however, it will increase it to 7%, which still isn't a lot. His third ability, Self-Improvement, makes it so that the Mauler Twins' damage for the next 2 hits is increased by 165% for each hit, and the last enemy to be hit gets pushed back. The cooldown for this ability is 10 seconds, which is yet again a very good time. However, at max level, it instead changes to the next 3 hits, and each hit does 220% base damage each. And the ability cooldown is reduced to 9 seconds, yet again, a very good time. His final ability, Healthy Genes, makes it so that when his HP reaches 20%, he bounces 15% of the damage he receives for 5 seconds and heals by 15%. And once again, we get a beautifully fast cooldown of 10 seconds. However, once at max level, the ability will activate when he is at 25% HP. He will bounce 25% of the damage he receives for 10 seconds and he will heal by 20%, a whole 5% increase. How great. The cooldown does decrease to 8 seconds, which is also nice. Now then, let's talk about the ranged Mauler Twin. And I'm going to sit you down when I say this, but the ranged Mauler Twin is actually ranged. Just like his brother, the ranged Mauler Twin is an attacker in the Criminal Organization, meaning he does an extra 20% damage to characters in the Earth's Defenders faction, but he receives an extra 20% damage from characters in the GDA faction. Just like his brother, he has a slow movement speed and their tags are very similar, those tags being Malefactors, Mauler, Technologist, and Grounded. The only difference is he's armed and ranged, of course, like it says it on the tin, mate. Now here comes his base stats. He has a HP of 3,857, a little less than his brother. Maybe this one's the clone. However, his attack is 2,727 and his defense is 654, just like his brother. He has a critical hit chance of 5% and a critical damage of 150%. His energy attack is 104% and his physical attack is 110%, while his energy defense is 104% and his physical defense is 101%. Now, for his abilities, firstly, we have Overload, where he shoots a rocket at the target, dealing 300% base damage and applying a burn that deals 120% base damage per second for 5 seconds. And this ability has a cooldown of 17 seconds. When at max level, the cooldown doesn't change. However, the damage of the attack is increased to 370% and the burns applied do 200% damage every second for 5 seconds. Furthermore, this ability will also decrease the enemy's physical defense by 40% for 5 seconds. Now, yet again, the second ability is where the Mauler synergy comes in. His second ability, Genetic Power, increases the team's energy attack and energy defense by 4% for every Mauler on the team, not including himself. And much like his brother, when at max level, this percentage increases to 7%. His third ability, Frozen Bullets, make him select a random target and shoot at them back and forth in an arch with frozen bullets that deal 125% base damage and also apply a 3-second silence to all the enemies that are hit. This ability has a very nice cooldown of 14 seconds that, when at max level, is reduced to an even nicer 12 seconds. As well as this, the silence now lasts 5 seconds and the ability does 170% base damage. Now, his final ability, I personally think is good, and it's called Get Out. Essentially, if there is an enemy at melee range, he will do an AoE attack in front of him that does 125% of his base damage and will push back all affected enemies. The ability has a cooldown of 18 seconds, but when at max level, the cooldown changes to 12 seconds, which is really great, and he instead deals 200% of his base damage. I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure after he pushes them with this ability, they go on to fight a different character, which is good because that adds on to his survivability. Alright, now that that's done, let's talk about how to use these guys effectively. And let's start with the artifacts for the melee Mauler Twin. For the melee one specifically, I would use the Flaxen Defense Barrier or the Battle Hologram. However, for the ranged Mauler Twin, I would use either the Neuralink chip or the GDA cloaking device. Now for the skill priority list, I'm actually going to do it a little differently this time. Since if you're going to use one of these characters, you should almost definitely use the other, I'm going to do one skill priority list for the melee Mauler Twin, one skill priority list for the ranged Mauler Twin, and then one skill priority list for both of them. Let's start with the priority list for the melee Mauler, where in first place, I have put Dynamic Duo, because really, if you're using one, most times you're going to want to use the other. And yes, the percentage isn't a lot and doesn't increase by a lot compared to other skills, but Maulers get their strength from their synergy. In second place, I have Healthy Genes. Don't really have much to say other than it certainly helps increase his survivability, which is always nice. In third place, I have Self-Improvement, and in last place, I have Battering Ram. Battering Ram isn't necessarily a bad ability, it's just more often than not a time-consuming liability. Now for the ranged Mauler Twin, in first place I have Genetic Power because, again, chances are if you're building them together, and again, Maulers get their strength from their synergy. Second place and third place could go either way, it's between Get Out and Frozen Bullets. In my opinion, Frozen Bullets are better because they silence the enemy and do more damage, but an argument could be made otherwise. That's just my opinion. Get Out is very nice for survivability. Hello, this is Alanator after or during editing speaking. No, it doesn't. Get Out does not do less damage than Frozen Bullets. And with that being said, Frozen Bullets is in third, Get Out is in second. Thank you. Back to the video. However, in last place, I have Overload. Again, the ability isn't bad. However, rather than it being a liability, it's just outclassed by the other abilities which are better. Now for the mixed priority list. First and second place could go either way, but in first place I have Genetic Power and Dynamic Duo in second. I put genetic power above because I feel like there are more enemies with higher energy attack than physical attack. But honestly, it could go either way. In third place, I have healthy genes because it's good for survivability. Hello, doing editing Alanator again. Just here to let you know that Frozen Bullets is still worse than Get Out. Thank you. Back to the video. In sixth, self-improvement. In seventh, overload. And in last, battering ram. Mostly because of how problematic it can be, like I've mentioned before. What I will say is, if you're only building one Mauler and don't plan on building another, then genetic power and dynamic duo go straight to the bottom of all of these lists. Now, as for how you should use them, putting the ranged anywhere in the backline is good, and the melee should go anywhere in the front line due to his chunky health and good-ish amount of survivability. Just maybe not in the number 2 slot, because you might have a better defender who can go there instead. As we've touched on before in this video, the Mauler Twins synergize well together. However, you could also synergize one or both of the Mauler Twins with Angstrom Levy, who also synergizes pretty well with both of them. Now, for the tiering of each character, when they're working without their synergies with either Angstrom or another Mauler, they are B tier. As much as I love the Maulers, in the game they are not that strong, especially on their own. However, if you are using them together, then in that case they are A tier. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Maulers get their strength through their synergies. Now, as for which Mauler is better, it's the ranged. The ranged Mauler Twin is better. I don't know if that's really a debate, but I think most would agree that the ranged Mauler Twin is better than the melee one. Alright, well, that was a long video. If you did enjoy it, though, or found it useful, then please hit that like button. And if you want to be notified whenever I make a post here on YouTube, then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Next time we'll be doing a character profile on someone in the GDA faction. So shortly after this video is published, a poll will go up and you guys will be able to decide on that poll who I should make a video about. Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.